Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Throwing Bows. I am Jose. I am honored and privileged to be here with my two co-hosts, Maria.
Hey, honored and privileged. Shit, we
And
stepping up in here.
John.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
You guys take the cake. You guys are the best thing ever. So, before we get into it, let's get into some business. Please like and subscribe. It'll be below. It may be on top. Who knows? But please like and subscribe. We are trying to put as much content out there as possible, but we really like to know your feedback. So like, subscribe, and comment. You can do all the three. We appreciate all of them. We really want to know what you feel about it. Again, like I said, we take all types of feedback. Spicier the better, as John would say. I agree. And so like, subscribe on the YouTube channel. And then if you want to speak with us or follow us, because like we were almost live streaming the whole fights today on Twitter. Yes. It is at Bows Throwing. And again, that is at Bows Throwing. It should be somewhere right down there. There you go. Yeah, somewhere. It'll be somewhere on the screen. So with that being said, thank you so much. Business is done. And so now let's get into it. So we had UFC Fight Island 8. Chiesa versus Magny. Yes. And for all of us East Coasters in the United States, we got a little bit of that UK fan experience in that you woke up at 8:30 and you better get your coffee because 9 a.m. this prelims was going to start. And when I looked at the card, I knew that there wasn't going to be a fight I wanted to miss. So with that being said, this first part, we're going to just talk about the prelims. And so, Maria, first thoughts on the prelims? Anything that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, so I want to start first off with asking you a question because you were talking about get your coffee. You mean we were supposed to put coffee in the coffee mugs? Because my coffee mug has something.
Whatever gets you through the fights. Whatever, however you self-medicate is however you self-medicate.
Fair enough. So with that out the way, I think I want to start with off the break the very first fight on the prelim card. You guys know I've said it in the past that I look forward to the prelims for setting up how the event is going to go. I don't think that was necessarily the case this time, but I just found that first fight pretty interesting because in the community, there were folks that actually thought that the stoppage between Leonardo and Figueiredo was premature. So, for those of you that need a reminder, they were in the second round at about the 4-minute and 9-second mark. Ref steps in. And it was one of those things where the ref needed to step in because if you're watching that fight, you will see that, yes, Leonardo was defending herself. If you want to call it that, she really looked like she was trying to run away because it wasn't just I'm blocking. It's I'm blocking and I'm turning away because I'm getting my ass kicked right now. And it was funny because even during the fight, I was tweeting about it and somebody was like, oh no, it was premature. It was premature. And I'm like, I don't know what fight you were watching, but it can't be a premature stoppage when, like I said, not only was she covering up, but she was literally turning away from the beast. And when you go back and you look at the metrics for this fight, I mean, Jesus Christ, she was outstruck like 3-1. I'm not even exaggerating. It was like 58-18 significant strikes. She was not in this fight. Like, her body was in it, but her soul was somewhere else. I don't know if she was meditating. She was on another plane. She was somewhere, but she was not in that octagon in that moment. So I thought it was interesting, especially considering, we had the whole thing with LFA and some stoppages or some non-stoppages, as John highlighted. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, definitely go check it out where he's talking about the knee in the Rosales-Ramirez fight. But this was one where I felt like the ref did the exact right thing in stepping in because all she was going to do was finish getting her ass tapped that round and go into the next round, going to round 3 in the same situation.
Real quick before I let John jump in here, listen, folks, if you need it, John will once a week go ahead and break down a fight from an officiating standpoint because I saw the same thing. I saw her being timid and I saw her turning around. John, what you think? Because honestly, that officiating one that you gave us from the LFA 97 down knee it was
Oh, it
already
was
a classic.
fantastic.
So yeah, you go ahead, you jump in.
All right. I didn't see it, but from what I am hearing, and a whole reason, let me set the stage for our listeners here. I run a school in my house right now because of the pandemic, so I don't always get to watch the fights like my co-hosts do. But from what I am understanding, it is sounding like the classic definition of what is called timidity, covering up. Not only are
Mm-hmm.
not like moving, like this, you are turning away and you are
Right.
seeking life elsewhere.
Right.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll, I'll gladly do one.
Yeah. Now, but listen, just to kind of piggyback off that though, for I want to pronounce her name correctly because you gotta love the French names. Is Fioro? Her boxing was crisp as fuck. I mean, it was literally 55% of her total strikes
Oh,
hit. 53% of her significant strikes. She had a takedown off of one attempt. Like she was in that joint like a machine. She looked phenomenal. And I think as a female fan of the sport, definitely as a female fan of female MMA, in the past, there's always been this argument that, women won't be crisp and women aren't as entertaining and women won't generate the knockouts and the power. And I think in this stoppage, in the Loveth stoppage last week, we're seeing like these girls are not for fucking play. They are coming in, they are strong for their weight classes, they are, aggressive, they are giving us everything that we need, which is kind of funny because further up in this card, and I'm sure Jose's going to kind of speak to this, you saw some guys on this card that had a lot less aggression and
we keep touching
chutzpah
on
to
it
them
is people
than
taking
what
advantage
was
of
shown in that
opportunities
very
presented
first
to
fight.
them. And I mean, people are, everybody's different, and how you motivate
Yep.
or how you get motivated is different. Listen, I am not coming home to the savages that I live with and having performances like that because it wouldn't work. It just, I'd never hear of the end of it. But you know what? I mean, it's one thing. I mean,
Mm-mm.
oh, yeah,
Nope.
they're horrible
Not at
people.
It would
all.
not end well.
You've got some killers in that
It's
house.
a motivation thing. It's just some people, they they take advantage of the situation, and then they get there, and the cage door closes, and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? And that could be some of that, and there could be another part to it. They not probably shouldn't be there just yet. I mean, who knows?
Mm-hmm. And then
Yeah,
there's
I
that.
was going to jump in. As I said, there's a whole reason why there's a fledgling market for sports psychologists because there are some trainers who what they do is they teach you like punch and combinations, and then some trainers are like, I'm going to teach you that, but really I'm going to work on your psyche and I'm going to work on your mental game because if you put all these together, that's great, and then we get you on the big stage and the cage door closes behind you and you're out like a light and you're not here
Yeah,
and you don't and
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into it, but not I don't want to judge, but boy, Magni, oof, yikes, that yeah
Yeah.
yeah
Now I'm gonna have to
yeah
check
yeah
out the
yeah yeah
next
check out
video
the
for
next
that
one
one.
because oof, Mr. Magni. But no, I think that's a hot take. I agree. I think Fioro, she looked really good. So we're gonna talk about a couple other ones here before we get into another breakdown one. And so the one that started everything is everybody's been clamoring because they want to see Nurmagomedov on a UFC card. Well, you got one. You got it, dog. Umar Nurmagomedov was fighting today, and he finished Morozov. Yeah, Morozov. Yeah,
Yeah,
Morozov.
Sergey
Sorry, I
Morozov.
wanted to make sure I pronounced his name correctly. After the first two ones, I was like, "Yikes!" Like, let's clean up these names. Um, he basically he destroyed him. He's if you listen to DC and if you've gotten a chance to watch the PFL where he came from, he's a striker. He knows that he's good with his kicks. He's a good. He's okay with his fist, but he's a kicker. He's got that kickboxing background, and so he's a kicker. He's a striker, and he definitely outclassed Morozov on the feet. But if you look at it, he also was 5 for 11 on takedowns, almost half. So when he went to go take down Morozov,
Yep.
he took him down. And so it was one of those things where you got DC and you had Felder basically saying, like, this is new. Like, they didn't think he had that wrinkle in his game. But, John, I'm going to kick this to you. Why would anyone not think that a Nurmagomedov couldn't wrestle?
Uh, it'd be a good question. It'd be an interesting question. And I don't know how to answer that. But what I can tell you is having seen Umar in the PFL and having seen him live as well, he is no joke. He is not what you would think the typical Dagestani, Nurmagomedov, fighter from that region would be. Wrestler, Hulk smash, just grinder, just physically maul you. No, this guy can do it all, but his thing is his knuckles, and his feet. So, yeah, he is, and it's only going to get better.
Well, the thing about it though, and I'm glad that you said it because he was clearly there for striking, but his strikes were so beautiful that they set up some of the prettiest shots I've seen on an undercard of a UFC event ever. Like his transitions, like to your point, or to both of your point, right? He's a
Yeah,
Nurmagomedov. They wrestle fucking bears as kids, and you could see it in his shots and how crisp he went from striking to shooting, striking to level change. And every time he took him down, he made him pay. And
Yeah.
it was a sight.
Yeah, really, really good start. So we got a Nurmagomedov back in. So I don't really want to hear, oh, what are we gonna do without him? Like there's like 17 Dagestanis that may all basically, when it could be all said and done, eclipse Habib. So let's wait and see of what happens. But then the next one that happened is Ricky Simone was on this card. Our favorite gentleman walking around with a mullet. Ricky Simone fought a Belgium by the name of Perillo. And let's just say he was on him like white on rice, like a cheap suit. You say whatever you want to say. The biggest difference was obviously Ricky Simone grew up in the United States where they wrestle and grapple, and Perillo grew up in Belgium where it doesn't look like he knew anything of how he had no answers for Simone. Simone took him down 7 out of 10 takedowns, 70%. When he shot it, he was probably going to finish it. And so he finishes Perillo with an arm triangle. I wouldn't say it was pretty. It was just, I guess the word I would use is eventual. So yeah, Maria, any thoughts about Ricky?
I mean, it was a grind, but it wasn't your typical like ugly grind, but it was a grind. So to your point, there was an eventuality. It was never if, it was just when. When is this going to be over? When is he going to end it? Um it was just, it wasn't pretty, but it was incredibly effective. And so I thought it was a good fight for him. I mean, obviously he ended it in the second. I didn't see it going beyond that. His totals, his strike totals, you're out striking the dude like 5-1. Like I said, it was never an if, it was a win.
Uh, yeah, John, you got anything on that?
He is not the only not the stereotypical Dagestani. There is a one bantamweight world kickboxing champion by the name of Alberti Rabas, and I butchered his name, but he's a bad boy in the same way Umar is. Like, he will piece you up. He will set your world on fire with his striking ability.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, we're gonna go on to the Dagestanis for forever. Like, I just don't see it stopping for a long time. And as long as you're getting this sense that as long as Habib is around, there's gonna be these fighters coming out. Like, I almost feel like what Habib's
He opened.
I almost feel like what Habib is really saying is his mom doesn't want me to fight, but my dad took it upon himself to help get these people, these people in our community in Dagestan to like fight. And I think what you may see is Habib is going to take that under his mantle now and say, I made my money. Now I'm going to continue to build what my father built and continue to help these Dagestanis get out of Dagestan. So, yeah.
And I'm here for it. I'm here for it all day long. It's no different than what a lot of the Brazilians did in the early days of UFC. We're starting to see it in the States. One of the things that you didn't mention, and I just kind of want to just say it really quickly, is that we're to the point that we made earlier this week around China. We're starting to see that as well with the gentleman Su Madaerji, who won today as well. I'm here for it. Like, Habib, build it up, because I want to see it every time.
Yeah. And so the other one that kind of stuck out to me was pretty much the feature fight on the on the prelims, which was Akhmedov getting Breeze, and Breeze came in feeling pretty good about himself, and Akhmedov, everyone was kind of like, well, what's he bringing? What's he got? Yeah. So on the feet, it pretty much stayed the same. It was like almost like 25 to 38 significant strikes. But then what basically happened was Akhmedov just took him to the ground. He controlled it. It went only 2 rounds. He controlled 4 minutes and 34 seconds of control time on there. He was 2 for 5 for takedowns. I mean, it was one of those things where you hate to say it because some of these British fighters, they are trying to get better on the ground. But it was just one of those things where it didn't look like it was a question for Omari. It just looked like it was one of those, oh, I can stand and I can take you down, and you're British, and I don't know how you are on the ground, so I'm going to get this to the floor. And so, John, do you got any thoughts about Akhmedov taking it to the ground and then finishing Breeze with an arm triangle?
I mean, I alluded to this in our production meeting. I had Breeze on DraftKings, and yes, I understand that it was a bad decision, obviously. You boys in England got to do something. Got to do something. I mean, it's not like you're poor. People got money. And, we can't blame it on the pandemic anymore. Get on a plane and come get you some coaching. Or, go somewhere and get you some coaching because, hey.
Or you know what? Unify. Because you had, was it LaRon Murphy on this prelim card too, who's a Brit, and he pulled his out. Y'all need to start stringing some stuff together or work together as a country, because y'all ain't getting it done.
I mean, I know some guys. I mean, short trip to Thailand. I mean, go see some fellas somewhere.
Yeah.
Private message me. I can set you up with a guy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, listen, to me, it was all elementary. It was Akhmedov was just like, we can stay on the feet and I can give you a chance. And then that's 50-50. Or we can take it to the ground and you don't have a chance at all. And Breeze just didn't have an answer. Even though towards the end, it looked like Breeze, he was kind of close to the cage, and you could see that Akhmedov needed to get to Breeze's right-hand side because that was the side he was trying to run it on. It almost looked like Breeze almost didn't understand what was happening and gave Akhmedov the space to land next to him to finish the arm triangle. And I was like, well, that's not smart. This man is trying to run it to your side, and this is the side the cage is on, and you're almost right up against it. He can't finish this if you scoot, or at least you get a little closer to the cage. he can't finish this. So it just looked like Akhmedov figured it out. He was like, I'm better a grappler than you are. I'm going to finish this right now. So hats off to him for that one. So we're going to jump into the fight that honestly I found interesting. It was Mike Davis, who loves to go by Beast Boy, and anyone that knows me knows I love Beast Boy from DC Comics, and Jones, who's the champ, everybody. So we had a champ on the card, and you may not even known it. Cage Warriors champ. As a matter of fact, the broadcast was even saying like how exceptional they thought Jones was and how much they were happy that he came over. Apparently, I think they said that he had the 55 strap at Cage Warriors or Cage Fighters, one of those two organizations, and then he just decided that, oh, well, I don't know if I'm ready to move up yet, and I don't really want to take any more fights at 55, so I'll just move up to 70 and get that belt. Which, okay, hey, champ. And so he came in, and listen, kudos to Jones. Davis has been in there with some guys, all right? He fought Sadiq Yusuf, and he fought Gilbert Burns. Now, Burns submitted him, and he went to the decision and lost to Yusuf, but it's not like Davis doesn't have some wear on those treads. He's been around the block. So Jones comes in. He doesn't ask for the easiest fight. He wants to check himself, and he wants to check levels. As they say in basketball, he wants to give himself a heat check and see where he's at. So he's not taking the top guy, but he's definitely not taking the worst guy in the division. So he comes in,
right,
takes Davis on. Kudos to him. And so, I mean, listen, it was on the feet. It was pretty much Jones's thing. So Jones ended up throwing 329 strikes, and Davis got 210 off. But then for Jones having all that output, he landed 132, and Davis landed 111. So it was actually a more efficient fight for Davis, even though Jones landed more significant strikes. So, no, I'm sorry, that was overall strikes. Significant strikes, even closer. 117 for Jones to 108 to Davis. So even the numbers were showing what you saw when you watched this fight, which is it was close. It wasn't like Jones was dusting Davis off. Davis was able to hang. This is the stat that swung it towards Davis. Davis had 3 takedowns to Jones 1. And so if you're judging, and I was okay with this, if you're judging at this point and you can see that the damage that's being done on the feet is pretty much even, you kind of got to go to the next thing then. And you got to look and you got to say, okay, well then who got more takedowns? Right. I mean, the control time was the same, but then who got more takedowns? And so with that being said, I'm going to kick it to you in a second, John, but just in case you didn't get a chance to see it, it was a unanimous decision. Davis had 29-28 all the way across. After the fight, Jones was actually very classy in defeat. He said, this is what I came here for. I'm all right with it. I'll be back. And so really quickly, I really like this kid Jones. I don't think he's a hype train. Admire him for not just taking the easy route, for taking a kid like Davis on. And so, yeah, with that, John, what did you have to say about that?
Just real quick, when one of the criteria is kind of the fighters equally, it negates, just kind of, it's even. That's why you have the other scoring criteria there, and you bing, all right, now what do I see? So yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. It's not a thing of, well, you kind of have to. It's you. That's what you do. That's all. Judges are weird.
Right.
It's lesson.
Yeah. Maria, any thoughts from you about Davis Jones?
No, I mean, I think you guys have said it all. And I think that there's, if anything, there's another card on this fight that kind of follows a similar pattern, which is the Figueiredo fight. Champ's little brother was fighting. And it was a similar situation where he was out, on the feet. He landed. He wasn't the man with the most strikes landed, but he had 4 takedowns.
Right.
What do you do?
Right.
With that?
No. So Maria, so interesting. You brought up Figueiredo, and you have a hot take on some of the. All right. So let's just jump into it. You believe there may be some some tomfoolery afoot. You believe that there may be some capital N nepotism going on.
Listen, I love a little nepotism just like the next girl. But it was interesting to me on this card to have relatives of two current champions on the same card. I sat back and I went into my mental Rolodex and listen, I'm an old lady, so I dug deep. And I don't remember another time in recent or previous UFC history where you have the legitimate relatives, not same camp, not whatever, but like straight up my little cousin and my little brother on the of two current champions on the same card. Coincidence? Probably. But in looking at the performance of these two individuals in Nurmagomedov and then in Figueiredo, one of them looked like he belonged there, and the other one didn't quite. And so for me, looking at the Figueiredo fight, he was lackluster at best. Yes, he dominated with 4 takedowns, but if you look at the stats, like that wasn't the whole story. He was significantly outstruck, and for someone who I would imagine trains with one of the most savage men on the planet right now, I would have expected a much more explosive, a much more engaging performance this time out from him, and I just didn't see it. And then that's what made me put my tinfoil on and say, well, wait a second, why is he here? Because he don't look, and listen, he's got a great record, wada wada wada, I hear all of that. I watched the fight. There was nothing particularly impressive about Francisco Figueiredo, and I'm not sure that he would have been there if his last name was something else. That's all.
John, go ahead.
As the saying goes, who you know will get you in the door. What you know will determine how long you stay. Uh, hey, membership has its privileges. That's all I'm going to say.
It clearly does. I mean, shit, I just wish there was somebody in the UFC last name Ayala that was actually my family and not some random person from wherever, because
So,
damn.
of course, I'm very sure that if you brought this to Uncle Dana, he would say this had been in the works for a little while. I will say this. No, here's what I will say. I will say this. A little while ago, before we started this podcast, but we had started just thinking about what we would talk about. There was that 21-day span between when Figueiredo defended one time and then came right back and saved the card and defended against Moreno again. And if you remember what I said, boy, oh boy, Uncle Dana sure likes giving out. It's a favor for a favor role for Uncle Dana, right? You come around and you save cards and you show up. Uncle Dana says, oh, okay, well, thank you so much. Right.
He starts handing out bags of undocumented money.
Sure. I mean, listen, I'm pretty sure that there's some under the table stuff, sure. But if you're also dicing Davison Figueiredo, you may be able to say like, "Hey, listen, I'm not going to take your money, but there is also something else I'm looking for you to do." And I got this brother. He would love to be on a card in January. Wink, wink. And Uncle Dana, listen, at that point, this guy defended, and 21 days later, saved your card that Jan and Aljamain Sterling couldn't make, and then also put on a great fight with Moreno too. So he showed up for that fight as well. So I'm not saying, listen, I'm not ready to like get committed yet. All right, but what I will say is this: if you are right, I don't know if this is a trend, as you were trying to say in the production meeting. This isn't necessarily what I think is a trend, but what I do think is he owed Figueiredo.
I mean, he had to. Listen, 13-0, which is what Nurmagomedov's record is, next to 12-3-1, which is what Baby Figueiredo's record is. Two different things there. And again, one of them looked like he belonged in the UFC and will be here for a long time. The other one looked like a forgettable fighter on the roster that we will forget about, 5 or 6 fights in. That's all.
Probably right. You may be right. But we're gonna mark this date and this one because if Figueiredo ever does become a top 5 guy, we're gonna be like, remember that
Yes,
time Maria
absolutely.
said something? No,
Yep.
don't know
Hold me
about
to
that.
it. Hold me to it.
All right, guys. So that was pretty much what I had. Did anybody, while we're wrapping up, did anybody have anything else they wanted to jump into? All right.
Nah, I was just gonna say if any of our listeners think that I'm out of my mind and need to take my tinfoil off, make sure you say something in the comments. We can have this conversation, but the numbers and the facts
Here we
don't lie.
go.
They,
That's all.
All
they,
right, then.
they
So
certainly
with
do
that,
not.
everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. We will be having more. So this was just the prelims one. We're still going to have another one that talks about the main card. And so please stay tuned for that. In the meantime, again, like we said, let's take care of some business. Please like and subscribe down below. And even if you maybe forget to do that, we'll even just take comments at first. If you just kind of want to feel us out, if you're kind of like that, I don't kiss on the first date, so let's go slow here. We'll go slow. We're slow dancers. We're in here for the long game, all right? And so you can just leave a comment at first and see what we say. Now, if you're like, I don't like YouTube comments, and you want to drop us into our Twitter and see what we're all about, then you can hit us up at Bows Throwing. And again, that's at Bows Throwing. And then that's the best way to get in touch with us. As you will see, if you look into it, we were pretty much almost live tweeting the whole time out. And so that's what we're at. We don't hide from nobody. We don't duck that work. So with that being said, thank you everybody for listening in. And if you stick around, we'll have the other one around. And have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.